Okay, before I even get started, you know, I just want to, because I know I'm going to mess up on the agenda, I'm getting kind of emotional here. I just really want, you know, all the members of current and prior members of La Familia Car Club to please raise your hand. You know, I want to thank the city staff. You know, they've done an awesome job, you know, working with all the departments and making sure this place, you know, was in tip-top shape, and, you know, and what they've done with the center and the naming and the signs and everything. I just really want to thank all the city employees who worked to make this place look beautiful today. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and get started, and good morning, everyone, and welcome. It's going to be a beautiful day. It seems like it's not even going to be that hot. You know, we had the rain, which was beautiful and washed away, you know, everything that needed to be washed away. So I just want to thank you for being here, and I want to acknowledge some faces in the crowd. You know, I know I'm going to miss some people, so please forgive me. There's a lot of folks here this morning, but I want to thank Mr. Chris Baca, former president and CEO of YDI, and now president and CEO of Yes Housing. And I want to thank the Alamosa Neighborhood Association. As you all know, this is kind of like a three-prong event. This is the annual West Fest that we have that celebrates all the work that's being done and accomplished on West Central. And we're also celebrating the renaming of the Alamosa Multi-Service Center. And we're also celebrating Alamosa Neighborhood Association's 25th year anniversary. So if the members of Alamosa can raise your hand. So, and then I noticed we have a guest here to the side, Sheriff Manny Gonzales. Thank you for being here. I'm going to give a little background, you know, and I had Cherise prepare me some talking points because I was afraid that I may get emotional. I'm going to kind of read those, but I actually want to share a story about Ted. So Ted M. Gallegos served as a co-founder of the Alamosa Neighborhood Association, co-founder of La Familia Car Club, co-founder and member of the Alamosa Neighborhood Association, co-founder, board member of the Southwest Alliance of Neighbors and the West Central Community Development Group. Ted was an integral part of youth development for over 35 years and was one of the founders of Westside Day at the state legislature, a program that transported underprivileged youth to the state capitol to observe the legislative process. And because of all these reasons and more, Ted will be memorialized as the community center's namesake for his lifetime commitment to his community and for being the ultimate community champion. And you know, that little statement doesn't do Ted justice. You know, Ted grew up and he had kind of a hard time, you know, and he was just trying to find his place like many of us do in this world. And Ted lived here in the Alamosa Neighborhood Association with his family for forever. And you know, as I mentioned earlier, Chris Baca, the former president and CEO of YDI, at the time he was charged with helping to transform this neighborhood because this neighborhood had some serious issues in terms of crime and other issues, and Chris Baca was charged by the city of Albuquerque to help to kind of transform this neighborhood, and Chris took on that challenge, and he just didn't know quite how he was going to be able to do it, right? Because he didn't necessarily see some of the folks that he was working at, that they were an integral part of the community. And so he drove around the Alamosa neighborhood and he looked around to see who looked kind of like the leader of the pack, right? And so he drives up to this crowd of guys and he sees Ted and he looks like he's the leader. So he calls him over, right? And Ted jokes, he said, I thought he was like the mafia or something. And so he pulls Ted over and asks Ted if he's willing to take on that challenge. And Ted agreed. He agreed because he knew that his neighborhood needed some work. And so he took on that challenge, and shortly after, him and Jeanette Baca co-founded the Alamosa Neighborhood Association, which we're celebrating here today. And, you know, Ted used to run the Alamosa multi-service, the Alamosa drop-in center over there at the housing projects over here on Sunset Gardens, as you guys all are many of you are very aware. And through that work, you know, sometimes here we have programs within the city of the Albuquerque and the county, you know, and we ask that we have all these measurements and how we do things and how many kids we served. You know, Ted, out of a small 1,100 square foot house, served over 270 kids a day, and they ranged from all ages, whether it be infants to teenagers. And he made it his life's work to try to make sure that he helped to serve any of those kids and find them the resources that they needed regardless. You know, there's an ongoing joke that Ted used to go into YDI and say he needed money for diapers, and Chris would ask, well, why do you need money for diapers? And so he had children who needed diapers. And, you know, so his work went from helping, you know, teenage gang members to infants that needed care. So, you know, his work is just amazing. And he worked at YDI for over 35 years. And part of the advocacy was we stand here today and look at this multi-purpose center. It's been here, I couldn't say how long it's been here, but the Alamosa Neighborhood Association and Ted obviously being a part of it, you know, they really identified the need in the community that we really didn't have those services that Ted was trying to provide out of that small house. We really didn't have those services nearby. And so myself and my husband and other members of Alamosa got together and started advocating that we needed this Alamosa Center here and we needed services for our community. And they started having bonfires to try to bring the attention to the elected officials to know that there was a grand need over here. And, you know, obviously neighborhood associations can't build a center, so they started advocating at the state legislature, our city and local county officials. And, you know, we have here today someone who actually is working for the mayor's office who was part of accessing that funding to make sure that this center became a fruition. And again, this is all part of the work that the Alamosa Center and Ted did, but Mr. Alan Griego. Armijo. I changed his name. Sorry, Alan Armijo. I apologize for that. So I just want to say that what an impact he's made in our community, you know, and so deservingly so, this center is being named accordingly, the Ted M. Gallegos Center. So I'd like to thank Family and Community Services Department, the Parks Department, Director Carol Pierce, Doug Chaplin, the Operations Manager Jess Martinez, Claudia Rivera, Marvin Paul, Eleanor Benavides, and obviously all the staff that's worked to make this happen. So thank you. And I want to thank all the car club representatives. As you know, Ted was a founder of La Familia Car Club, but he actually was considered a leader amongst all car clubs within the city of Albuquerque. So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank House for helping to organize this. Where are you, House? Hiding somewhere. There you are, House. And then Luis, get over here. So, and then now we'll start with the speakers. Mayor Keller had intended to be here this morning. Obviously, he always has a full agenda. He'll be here later on, so we're going to have another little ceremony when we get back over there, but he couldn't be here this morning. But again, like I mentioned earlier, he sent the best person that he could send here because obviously, as I've stated earlier, he helped secure some of the dollars to make sure this came to fruition. So Mr. Alan, not Griego, Armijo.
Buenos días. Es un bonito día, ¿verdad? Para tener un evento nombrando este lugar para una persona que hizo mucho. Good morning. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? The sun is here, we're here. It's a wonderful morning to have this event on behalf of Ted. And going back, Mayor Keller apologizes. Part of it, he does have events, but he likes Saturday mornings when his kids wake up because he's so busy. To be there when they wake up, to be there to have breakfast with them, to do those kind of things that all of us as parents have done for many, many years, and some of you as grandparents have done for a long time, taking care of kids, 3 and 5. But when he was asking me, he didn't know Ted, and he was asking me, and I said, well, I met Ted many, many years ago. When I first got elected in 1989 as a city councilor, he was one of the advocates. We met right away about what was needed here. And, you know, over the years, I got to know Ted. One of the things that we joked about and talked about is he said, you know, Alan, who am I? I live here. He says, I'm just a vato from my hood, but I care about it. I want to make it better. I don't want people to grow up exactly like I did. I want them to have a better life. I want to be able to help out, and that's why I'm involved. And I said, Ted, if people like you don't get involved, it doesn't matter how many politicians show up. It can't be done by government alone. The neighborhood has to take the ownership of its own neighborhood. We can send police. We can send police. We can do all those kind of things. But thank you, Ted. Thank you. That's the way kind of guy he was. No matter where he was, he saw you, he talked to you. He came up and said, it had a little joke, had a little recita he had, you know, he laughed a little bit, but he was great. I feel honored that I'm here to help name this on behalf of the mayor, but also personally, because when I got on the city council, as Clarissa said, Vince Griego, that's the other Griego, Steve Gallegos and they helped me with the funding for this center, and we got it done. So, muchísimas gracias to the Car Club. You always have been involved to house. He was a student when I was a teacher at Albuquerque High School. He was a little bit more travieso than now, but he's better. Yeah, but you know, that's what I'm talking about when you talk about the community. You look at these people back here. You look at House, you look at different, you look at Ted. So, muchísimas gracias por todo esto, and have a good day.
Next, I'd like to introduce City Councilor President Ken Sanchez.
Thank you, Clarissa. What a beautiful day here in Albuquerque, and I first would like to commend and thank Councilor Pena for the work that she has done. I represented this district at one time, but hasn't Councilor Pena done an exceptional job for this community? And also the Ted Gallegos family that is standing directly behind me. Your dad and your family member will live in our hearts for many, many years to come, but his accomplishments will live in the lives of many for generations to come. And thank you all for being here today. Yeah. I also knew Ted Gallegos, and what a remarkable individual. I also want to acknowledge Chris Baca. He's another one of our community heroes that has done so much. He started YDI over 40 years ago and worked as the president of YDI and brought Ted in as a partner, not in crime, but in making some really great strides for our community. And Chris, you need to be acknowledged for all the work that you do. You don't need to be an elected official to get things done in this community. And I will tell you that there is nobody that has worked harder and has cared about this community more than Ted Gallegos and Chris Baca. Chris, thank you. When Councilor Pena brought this initiative to rename this facility after Ted Gallegos, the Albuquerque City Council voted 9-0 to support the change because of the work that Ted Gallegos did. And by the work that he did, I mean, look at the number of people that are here today, the Car Club, mariachis, family members, firefighters, police officers. Aren't we blessed to live in Albuquerque and also the land of enchantment? Yes. Yeah. But I know 2 days ago when the rain was pouring down, it was Ted Gallegos' tears of joy for the amount of work that this team has done for him and to honor his name. His name will live on for generations to come, but his name will be on this building for an eternity. Again, thank you, Councilor Pena, and thank you, community, for all of your hard work.
Next, we have City Councilor Cynthia Borrego.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me here today. I wanted to say that there was a point in my life where I lived over on 86th and right off of Tower and Sage area, and then I moved to the other side of the west side. But what I've come to find serving on city council and even before city council is the love that I found on the west side. I grew up in Espanola, and I find it relates so well to where I grew up and the place that I grew up, the people that I grew up with. I didn't know Ted, but from what I've heard and what I understand about him, he brought community together. And really, if you think about it, that's what is happening today with Councilor Pena and all of the people that have been mentioned earlier, Councilor Sanchez, Alan Armijo, Chris Baca, Johnny Pena, Jeanette Baca. I mean, there's so many people, Jerry. I mean, I could go on and on, but the people that live in this community and the love that you have for your community, that's what really brings you all together. And not only you, but remember, I'm over on the Northwest Mesa, so we are really working together to have a better community for our children, and really that's what it's all about. And in my heart, and I don't know Ted, but what I feel is that he actually worked to bring this community together. So respectfully today, wherever you are, Ted, looking down on us, I know that you are looking down at all of these people and you're remembering in your heart the love that they felt for you. So I'm happy to be here and happy to be a part of this day, and happy West Fest. And thank you, Councilor Pena, for your work.
Next, I'd like to bring up Director of Family and Community Services, Dr. Carol Pierce.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilor Pena. I understand that this complex embodies the spirit of Ted Gallegos, and it is an honor to be here with his family and all the treasured community members that clearly loved him so much. You know, we're very proud about this facility because it's a community champion like Ted Gallegos that is about addressing the needs of the community and reaching out and creating connections. So it's really an honor to be part of Family and Community Services and with fellow team members like Eleanor Benavides, who runs the complex, along with Marvin Cole. Raise your hands. And it's our privilege to be here for the Alamosa Neighborhood Association. This is your complex, and it's providing services to 46,482 members alone last year. And I think that deserves a big round of applause. And I want to just break out those numbers for you a little bit. And I imagine this touches a lot of folks here today at this celebration. This center had the busiest summer program of all of our community centers, all 22, serving over 400 of our youth this past summer. Yeah. Through our health and social service centers this past year, 3,500 emergency food boxes were given. They're given every month to families in need. I want to highlight that one of the things we say that it's all about creating community spirit is how people start early in life and how we support our parents. And this complex is so fortunate to have one of our 25 child development centers here on site, and we have a pre-K classroom and we have a preschool classroom. And I think one of the best things I can ever do during my busy day is I go see the great staff serving and meeting the needs of children and their families, and it's a treasure to have that as part of this complex. Just want to highlight a few more things of the special events. Last year alone, with Toys for Tots, 908 families were served with the Toys for Tots program, and coming up, we have our big Halloween celebration that I understand Marvin is the head of Halloween, with a lot of great celebration of families and children that will be here at part of the Ted Gallegos complex. And lastly, on a sober note, but a real note, this past, actually 2 days ago, we had about 200 people gathered in the meeting space to learn about suicide prevention. It is something that affects our families and children every day. This is Suicide Prevention Month, but we came together as a community to learn how do we recognize those signs and how do we help each other as community members to get better. So it is an honor to be part of this and to be part of this celebration, and thank you so much.
Okay, I just learned that Senator Padilla got here. Where is he?
He's over there. Right there.
Oh, what are you doing over there? I'm not used to seeing him. Senator Padilla.
Oh, no, I don't need to speak. I just wanted to give you a...
No, just...
Hello, everybody. Senator Michael Padilla, thank you. Great speech, Senator.
Everybody waiting is going to say that's the best speech of the day.
I came to see Luis's daughter perform today.
And I just noticed that we have county manager, but we really have to pay tribute to Ted. So, County Manager Julie Baca, did you want to say a few words?
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. I'll just make this short and sweet. It's awesome to see our county staff, our sheriff's department, our fire department, along with the city merging together here. You all deserve it. We all need to work together to support each other and make this community even better. But this is amazing. Our sheriff is here, Sheriff Manny Gonzales. It's so good that you're here. And Councilor, thank you for all your work and dedication. And of course, you all know that our chair of the commission, Chairman Stephen Michael Quesada, couldn't be here. He's on a ship somewhere working. But you know what? But while he's doing that, we're always on the phone whenever he has coverage, and he always wants to make sure that we support this community. So thank you all very much, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you. And actually, I was going to mention him next, so thank you. Thank you, County Manager. So I just wanted to say, too, since being elected, you know, myself and Stephen, we're basically two people from the hood that really have gotten involved to try to make a difference. And, you know, Commissioner Quesada obviously has to make a living, so he's out there working. But, you know, without his support, one of the things that I do have to say is, you know, the commitment from the county and him to partner to try to address some of the needs in our community is just incredible. So thank you, Commissioner Quesada. The next folks, I was going to actually introduce Mr. Baca next, but what I'm going to do based on what Carol said is that I'm going to introduce the Alamosa Neighborhood Association members. If you guys can stand behind me real quick, and if a few of you want to say a couple of words, you're more than welcome to. But, you know, when listening to Carol speak about those numbers, right, and hearing 46,000 people were served out of the Alamosa Neighborhood Association, I just want to say that it takes people to get involved in your community to make this kind of impact in our community. When you see these numbers, right, many people in the neighborhood don't know who the Alamosa Neighborhood Association are or who the members are, but the truth of the matter is if they wouldn't have gotten together 25 years ago to try to make a difference, we wouldn't have served 46,000 kids this past summer. So I want to thank you guys for your work, your dedication. The sad part about it is through all this work, you know, we've always joked throughout the years and said that once you get involved, you can't get off the board. The only way you can is if you die, and you still have to give 2 weeks notice. So, you know, through all this work over the years, we have lost members, and we've had members who have gotten sick, but they have continued to persist and still make this important to what they do. They come home, they've raised their families, they come home, and they still make time to square away those few hours once a month or twice a month to try to make the difference that they've made. So I hope you guys are proud and love you guys, and I just just want to, I didn't announce though that we have Mr. Robert M. Hall, who actually passed away, and he was part of the board, and then obviously Ted Gallegos and Robert Murphy. These are members who, again, dedicated their time. So anyway, if you guys would like to say a few words, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. This is a really beautiful, very emotional day for us, especially because Ted was our brother, our comrade, our he was, like Clarissa had said recently, he had a heart of gold, and that's the truth. When Ted and I formed in 1993, the Alamosa Neighborhood Association, one of our main goals was to start advocating for a neighborhood community center, besides the issue of crime, besides beautification. But that was our big thing, because we believed that we deserved as much as any other part of the city the services that would be provided. So it took 10 years, but it finally got built, and it was a state-of-the-art building. And as Carol said, it served 46,000 people last year. So I just, like I said, it's a very emotional day. Ted Gallegos Center is truly deserved, and he's always remembered by us, but now he'll be remembered, and his name is going to be up in lights. So thank you, Councilor.
Yeah.
My name is Jerry Gallegos. Ted and I weren't related, but we're brothers under the skin. Ted and I kind of were together the week before he passed away. We were planning a big event. He came over to my office. Him and I would do things with kids that were involved with gangs. But there's one thing that Ted did, and I also did. We found the Lord, both of us. And that's what I think is the most important. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Johnny Pena. Ted was my compadre, and I don't get choked up. But there's no better tribute to a human being than to honor him, and to honor him this way is just unbelievable, because he was a deserving person. So again, I want to thank everybody for being here, and thank you, Ted.
Yeah.
And so, like I said earlier, I was going to introduce this gentleman beforehand, but I think this is more appropriate. So I'd like to introduce the President and CEO of Yes Housing, formerly the President and CEO of YDI, Mr. Chris Baca.
Thank you. This is an unexpected honor. But going back, my wife and I have lived in the neighborhood now for 43 years, and people would ask me, well, why did you move there? You know, why did you move to Alamosa? This is 43 years ago. I said, because I'm moving from the South Valley and they have sidewalks, you know. We didn't have sidewalks. So for me, it's a big improvement. But when we began to see what was going on around us, it became even more important to our mission to do something about the neighborhood and involve the neighborhood. And as Councilor Pena mentioned, you know, when I was looking for somebody to help me in this work, you think it was scary for Ted to see me walk into their group to ask for help. You should have seen how I felt. There were a bunch of guys that the size of house surrounding Ted, and I walked into the middle of that group and I said, I need to talk to you. And he wasn't really sure what I was going to ask. I said, I know you live in the neighborhood. I live in the neighborhood. Could you please help? Are you willing to help me to try to structure something so that we can make some big differences? And he didn't hesitate. He said, sure, how can I help? And the rest is history. But the naming of this building here is a culmination of a history of work over that period of time. You know, we've tried to do things in this community and in other communities as well that set a standard by how community action is translated. One of them is this community center. We also have, and this is through Yes Housing, the Mark Armijo, we supported the Mark Armijo charter school that's right on on the corner right here, right in front of this building. We'll soon start on a project on Unser and Central, a culmination of I don't know how many years of working with the neighborhood, where we're going to have apartments, commercial, retail, offices, all of that. That's a culmination of a dream. You know, that's 35 years of hard work of just plugging away. And I can think of no greater honor to launch some of this event, what's happening now, by the naming of this center. Thank you, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, and I think I've covered, did I get everyone? Under Sheriff Mora's here, thank you for being here, appreciate it. And again, I want to thank the Albuquerque Police Department, APD, the Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department from Bernalillo County. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. With that being said, you know, I left the best for last. And next, if we could have the members of the family gather behind me, and in no order, if you guys would like to say a few words about your dad.
All right, how's everybody doing today? Beautiful day, huh? It is a mighty fine, gorgeous day out here. What a better day to pick naming of the Multi-Service Center under Ted. So I want to start out telling you a little bit about myself. Now, before Ted came into the picture in my life, I was raised by my mother, her roommates, women. My only friend growing up was my older sister. We were broke, didn't know it. I was happy, I didn't realize it, and but loved and didn't really know it. As the world turns and things start to materialize, more people were introduced into my life, and that was when when simple began getting complex. Now, without a TV, you can't argue what channel to watch, but you also can't witness the emotions of the athletes taking first place in their sport. After we got our first television, came my first bike. And with that came the joy of riding around the neighborhood with my sister. Now those are the memories that I have that are important, that I did in my heart, that'll last forever. The bike's gone, but the memory stays. And that's one thing that Ted brought into my life. And not just my life, the kids in the neighborhood. Anybody that you talk to in the neighborhood could tell you a similar story on how Ted has had an impact in their lives. Now, I would like to recognize Ted as a legend, a mentor, a leader, my pops and friend. So many memories, so many valuable lessons and skills from Ted through the Alamosa Community Center. The majority of the lessons were deliberate. Now, you know how you can learn from somebody by just watching. These lessons were intentional, were instructional. Just a couple of them here. Now, as we mentioned earlier, I grew up in a semi-violent neighborhood, so one of the first things Ted taught me was how to protect myself. Now, the way he showed me was at home in the hallway after dinner, going over some things. But he also did that for everybody in the neighborhood. We did that at the cage in the community center. He had the boxing bag hanging, had the weight room, trained, learned how to box, and went over things in that nature at the center. Another lesson was how to care for people. It was remarkable, his consistency and endurance in caring for people. The lunch program was huge. The field trips, the rides across town to jobs and to see probation officers, the things that he did for people in the neighborhood through the community center. Another lesson, work ethic. One avenue he showed us work ethic was through foosball. I don't know if anybody played this man foosball, but you would lose. Kept the rules, no spinning, using your wrist. Had to go straight in without touching another piece. Now, or through chores. I remember several times sweeping the basketball court, mopping up the mats, maybe picking up the grounds. So before I conclude here, I got a question. So what makes a day special? What is a special day? Well, a special day is different, it's unique, it's one that particular, that stands out for something significant, that may or may not have a rare occurrence of a natural phenomenon. However, the more rare, the more value. The greater the scarcity, the greater the appraisal. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, is a very special day, an eclipse of two legends, with two legacies being celebrated and recognized today. Now, Ted Gallegos, who I just mentioned, but also, and one thing I know Ted would do is share the spotlight. Now, there's a friend of mine out in Roswell celebrating her grandmother's birthday. She's turning 97 today, and I just want to get a quick happy birthday, if that's all right from y'all. Yeah. Okay, her name's Opal Whited, 97 years old today. If we could just get a quick happy birthday on 3. Let's count down. 3, 2, 1. We'll say it. Ready? Here we go. 3, 2, and happy birthday, Opal. Yeah, that's what's up. Now, I appreciate y'all for recognizing Ted, my stepfather. But you know, considering me as a son growing up, much love and joy coming from this gentleman. Memories and lessons, and just I would not be the man I am today without him in my life. And I appreciate y'all so much for showing up. Thank you.
And before the next family member comes up, I just want to say Mario, he's done a phenomenal job. He's actually a small business owner in the city of Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone that came out today and all those that came together to make the renaming and this ceremony happen. My dad meant a lot to me and my family, and we miss him so much. But I know that he would be happy to see everyone together for this event. To celebrate his life, he was a founding member of the Familia Car Club. He made a huge impact on the lowrider culture. I'm proud to walk in his footsteps. He was also a founding member of the Neighborhood Association and was such a positive influence on so many people in this community. He was willing to help out anybody in it. I've had so many encounters with plenty of you guys, and have heard so many stories of how my dad helped them out in times of need. So many people have shown so much love and respect for my dad that it really touches me. And I thank all y'all for making this happen in honor of his memory. And we love you, Dad, and I know you're smiling down on us today.
My father was a man of many different titles. Compa, Nino, son, husband, uncle, brother, dad, grandpa, and of course, foosball champ. Even though these are all names based off of family, it doesn't mean you needed to be his family. If you had a problem and needed anything, you became family. And that's exactly what this community became to him, family. And being a proud family man, Ted, my dad, took care of his family, whether that meant summer field trips to the beach water park, funny pictures at the Ladera Dollar movies, learning to fish on the weekends, to guaranteed presents from Santa and food boxes for Thanksgiving. I never understood how much my father meant to this community until we got a chance to visit with some of the people that he touched their lives, and they shared with us his selfless love and how it changed their lives. He understood the small things can mean the world to someone. So a shared smile, short visit, quick hug were common stories. The first thing that came to my mind was, how in the world did this man have so much time to be in so many places at once? And the second was, how will we ever move on? But because of the outpour and love from the community, the family, I realized my dad's dream had come true. Not only was the community center a second home, a safe place for kids to play and do homework after school, but it also was a piece of him, a piece of comfort, a piece of love. And by putting his name on this sign, we're reminding the family, the community every day where home is, where comfort and love will always be. So on behalf of me and my family, we thank you for this honor. So thank you. I know our family will appreciate the legacy left on this sign, and we will always appreciate seeing his name. Thank you.
Okay, before the ribbon cutting commences, I just want to say that today holds a special significance, not only for the renaming of the center, but because of Ted's grassroots efforts as a co-founder of the Alamosa Neighborhood Association, celebrating the 25th anniversary as a recognized neighborhood association within the city of Albuquerque. So with that, are you guys ready to cut this ribbon and get the day started?
You're the cutter.
Ken and Alan and the family. Oh yes, Nancy. I apologize, and I don't think I mentioned his name. Everyone probably knows Luis Hernandez. He's everywhere. He's a great organizer and helper as well. And he just let me know that I forgot about the national anthem. So.
Thank you, Luis. That's off.
How far? Okay. Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light once so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was incredible. So let's get started. Luis, are you going to organize this?
I'll organize this.
Okay.
And of course, I want to thank you, Yusalit Vasquez from the Atrisco Heritage Mariachi program. Thank you for that beautiful. We'll do this. Let's go and pretend like you're cutting the ribbon. We're going to take a few pictures. And this is certainly a glorious moment. When we took a look at the original scissors, we said, this is not the way it should be. Ted M. Gallegos was a big dude in the community, so we had to go out and find the biggest scissors in the community. So we're very grateful for the ABQS Chamber for helping us out with those this morning.
Good. And it says a little something on the scissors. What does it say?
It says, together, we are stronger.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, here we go. 5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
Make sure I did a good job. My kids always say I take terrible